This is iRacing. It's crunch time in the Lotus 79. Andy T does have a bit of a lead. However, it's not winner chooses the next track. Despite Togo won last week, we were coming to Suzuka regardless, and all eyes will be on the Japanese driver for the hometown race. But we got to get there to see what happens here for round 8 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series live on the Global SimRacing Channel. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night if you are in Japan. I am Craig King. With me is Howie Burrows. Using our director, we're going to use all of him today. It's Christian Deploy with camera provided by Dougie Beard. So many memories at Suzuka in F1. So many memories in the sim. If you don't know about Suzuka, where have you been for the last 30 years? We'll go to a GSRC track guide to give you some ideas.
Welcome to Suzuka Circuit, perhaps most famous for its hosting of the Formula One Japanese Grand Prix for much of the event's history. This track sees all sorts of racing besides that. In fact, this place began as a test track for Honda, but later proved to be a driver and fan favorite for competitive motorsports as well. The full layout of the Grand Prix course steals the show, but there's actually 5 different versions that can be run on iRacing. With their lap lengths ranging from just over 2 kilometers to nearly 6 kilometers, plenty of different types of cars can suit the track. GT racing and lower-level open-wheelers are quite popular, but motorcycles are also a staple here. Some of the corners have become world-renowned over the years. The S's are often cited as one of the great tests of a driver's technical prowess. Then, of course, there's Degner's 1 and 2, which provide very little runoff considering their fast and narrow entry. Later on, the long backstretch leads up to the notorious 130R, which is blindingly fast. The Casio Triangle offers one last chance at an overtake if you're brave, but has been the scene of many drivers clattering into one another over the years. F1 fans will be quick to cite the infamous coming together here between Senna and Prost. However, real-life visitors will find it's more than the racing that provides some viewing pleasures. The unique ways in which the Japanese fans celebrate their favorite cars and drivers certainly capture your attention. But it's no wonder they're such fanatics, because who wouldn't be with one of the world's greatest tracks right in your backyard?
Well, Senna Prost and Senna Prost again, and lots of other memories around here, Howie, but modern day still provides a fantastic atmosphere for drivers.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything I can say to really properly introduce Suzuka in these cars. It's an all-time classic, and we've seen every old moment, and the track has barely changed, of course. These cars with their strong ground effect downforce are going to fly through turns like 130R. They're going to battle through the S's. They're going to do everything that we've seen a million times. We love every single time. Welcome back.
Yeah, interesting. The last time there was any change on this track officially was 2003, where they changed the profile of the Casio Triangle. So not a little bit like that Senna Prost moment I was talking about. So really looking forward to seeing what we get around here today. High speed with ground effect downforce cars out there. And hopefully the top 10 will be just as close as the top 10 in the championship as we get ready to run down the F1 championship with Andy T. And the gap is 146 points, I know. But you've got to look at Jacob Reed. He's got one drop week. It was just Sebring, so he's still got chance to really pull some points up there. Topi Courtenay could pull some points, but I believe, he is here today as well. Jack David Spickett's still there. And Valentin's first full season here in the Lotus 79s, and he's having a good little run in 5th place. Toga Hitsada Hometown Hero in 6th with Gabriel Martinez 7th, just ahead of Aaron Blair. Kartik Pai will be 9th, going up. Freecher will be 10th. Timothy Reed is actually tied behind, but Kartik Pai gets the tiebreaker. Little bit spread out in the F2, however, for the drivers under 3K, Howie, but still some interesting moments out there.
Indeed, one story that came out of last week, you wouldn't have seen it on the broadcast, but it has changed the standings quite significantly. Luke Tenusin got into the standings with an 81-point win in the second split last week. So he's come out of nowhere and jumped himself up into P6. Alvarez is up in front, and second and third are tied, with third only fourth even, only a couple behind. I'd say it is certainly tight in an F1. There are fewer points on offer, but this is a triple split race with a super high SOF on the top split and quite a high one on the second one as well. So there could be a lot of change.
Yeah, we'll have to watch out on the standings for the second split to see if that affects anybody in the F2s, as none of them's here today. But there's also the team championship. Always don't forget, you can sign up for the team championship on the forums or the community Discord, and Williams Grand Prix Engineering have that lead. The 2As on top, of course it would be if it's AA, just ahead of the Ligier Gigantes in second. JIB Racing still doing their thing, with Wolsteiner Arrows going up. Freecher and Jay Wash just there. Shout out to Totoro Racing, Josephine Becker on her own, and as per usual, the Lightning Purple TVR Racing of Dylan Freckleton just behind, holding up the Brazilian Speedstar team, the Nazgul Nation, Tisiot inside, and then the John Player Special Team Lotus is in 10th. But of course, this is a lap-based race, and Howie, it's going to be very interesting today. Why don't we just run down those race details?
Indeed, 20 laps around the classic Suzuka circuit. They're going to fly by in an instant. Open setups as ever. Plenty from the community, but sure, plenty optimized for this circuit over many, many years. No fast repair available if you get into an incident, and with 30 cars on the track, that could happen, so watch out. Drive through at 17 and DQ at 25. Not too likely here. It's not an off-track magnet generator, but you do always want to be careful and make sure you don't get caught.
You don't want to be caught. 4,922 strength of field today. 31 cars, one of the biggest fields we've seen. And the times are coming in. And Topi Kortanemi right away said, I want to go at this track. It's a cold track, 20 Celsius, 68 Fahrenheit. But he takes the early lead from Andy T, who's only 500th behind Topi Kortanemi here, as more drivers setting themselves through these final laps. The number one car, though, Andreas Henkel, hoping not to get caught in a turn 3 accident this time around, takes that pole position away from Topi Kortanemi. The top 4 have an average I rating of 8,000, and Jacob Reed's going to try and make it 8.5.
I'd also look at the size of the spread on the field in terms of time. There's a 3-second gap between first and last, and I denote this down to the fact that this is the track that the Beth have absolutely mastered. They grind it out every single season. They know it is an absolute historic classic, and the fastest here are quite unlike anything else. Drivers like Ruiz at the back are 3 seconds back, and they're not slow. They're high I-rating drivers in one of the toughest lobbies they've ever seen.
Valenteus only putting it in 9th place. Jacob Reed only putting it in 12th place as we're on board with the Worcesterman right now. Take a drink, Jake Sperry, as he comes on by through Snake, the anti-bait curve, and now comes around Dunlop. This is where the car really wants to get full throttle. Is Jacob Reed having, Valenteus, sorry, just looking at having a little bit of a slide moment out there from Degnan 1, now into Degnan 2, carries the speed. The rear slips a little bit for Jacob Reed, and under the bridge, remember, it's one of the only Grade 1 racetrack in the world with a figure of 8 setting, as comes on around into the hairpin. And then everybody talks about 130R. Everybody forgets about 200R, as Andy T, just as times come in, could not get up past Andreas Henkel. Marco Muller with the surprise P4. All eyes now on the Worcesterman.
This lap is looking faster than the last, but I'm telling you, it's not going to look good enough to make a significant jump. His first lap 2 seconds slow, and he hasn't made up more than a second yet as we approach truly the 130R. So we can take this one flat in these cars. And then one final chicane, the home of much drama, the kind we don't usually usually see on these shows, thankfully. Hop the 2 curbs, trying not to bring a tyre over. He has gained a lot of time in this last sector, Jacob Reed, but I'm not sure it's going to be all the way up to the top. Crossing the line at 1:44.3. It is P6. It's going to be a respectable start.
Just one more driver I can see with a chance to make a move going up. Friescher comes across the line. It's not fast enough for him. 3 drivers drop into the 43s, and it's Henkel, T, and Topi Courtenay. Dylan Freckleton. Dylan, that's not an all-purple car. What are you doing out there? I always said we'd like to see all the purple, but got a little bit of black there to counteract the lightning around here as he comes across the line. He's looking to improve from 23rd. He will improve. He will improve a lot. He's up into P12. That's going to be all she wrote for this qualifying. We've got 31 drivers out there. And most importantly, the number 1 car is first. Andreas Henkel manages to get ahead of Andy T. And he'll be alongside Topi Courtenay. With then Marco Namula, what a shock that is, up into 4th place. Going up, Friescher will be in 5th with Jacob Reed beside him. And not the qualifying Hissardo would have wanted at the home track in 7th. Jack David Spickett will take 8th. Valenteus into 9th. Javier Chavez Pina will be 10th.
We have 31 cars on today's field, so we've got a lot to get through and plenty of time to do it. Ross Banfield makes it into 11th next to Dylan Freckleton on row 6. Sebastian Korn, Von Jaski in 13th next to Gabriel Martinez. And JPW Ringwood is next to Xavier Sanchez on row 8. Roel Gardia only making it to 17th in the 9 car. He'll be next to the 28th Hans Sommer. And Andrew Petty is in 19th next to Julius Muller in 20th.
Arto Ihamaki will be in 21st with Mickey Friesen beside him in 22nd. Then it's Arturas Kundalis in 23rd with Shadi Man in 24th. Feels like an into vintage day. Logan Edwards 25th with Miera in 26th. And then Matthew Cockerham will take that 27th. Ricardo Ruiz 28th. Followed by Benjamin David in 29th. Peter Yerka will be in 30th. And one name on their own at the back, Jan Francis Boskus in 31st. And give you an idea of the spread, pole position, 9,300 iRacing. Yeah, well, Boskus, not the last car, but 3,558. That's a big gap between the drivers, and it's going to be standard grid procedure around here as we get a quick look. The helicopter just flies over the bridge, and there is 130R. Dangerous corner in races, and you do wonder, are we going to see a little bit of a moment out there today? Could happen on the last laps. It could all just decide on, can the drivers get ahead? Still waiting on 1, 2, 3 at the front, maybe 4. We'll say 4 drivers left to grid up. I know the grid slots are the normal grid slots here, so could be a little bit more. But it's going to be interesting. You remember that those temperatures, 21 Celsius, 69 Fahrenheit. Not a lot of humidity out there today at 61%. So it's a cold morning in Suzuka. Peter Crouch would be really happy to hear about that, because it ain't a wet one. But regardless, drivers getting ready. One more car. Got about 20 seconds to grid up here as we get ready for another day of Lotus 79s, one of the greatest series you will watch on iRacing. Revs up, green flags out, and it's a good start from Henkel. T's going to try to go for it. Someone's had a really bad start in the middle of the field, and I think it is actually going to Friescher, who had a jump start. Friescher with a jump start, and look straight away, Jack David Spickett just slices through to get up a few places into P6. Jacob Reed with a good start as well. Needed that as the leaders try to go through. Toga Hissardo's not had the best of start, but everybody gets on through the first few corners as they hit the snake.
Yeah, Friescher's going to have to serve a drive-through penalty in the pit lane as well as a slow start, so that race might as well be over. Lots of separation up front already. Andy T getting ahead of Topi by 6/10 on the road as you largely run single file through this section. It can be difficult to force a pass around there, but it's so worth it when it happens.
Yeah, Valenteus on board with Valenteus, trying to see if he can force Jack David Spickett to make a mistake on the cold tyres. And nothing at the moment. Javier Sanchez is well. Heike 360. We see you out there trying to get around another car, already up 1 place. Got JPW Ringwood in front of him, but Sebastian Kronvan Bonjatski, I remember his sibling was in the race last week as well. But Seb on his own out there today as the train starts. Everybody's in a train. Look at them. Look at them. Everybody. I tell you what, I can't remember the last time on a first lap I've seen everybody in a train. Valenteus looking to try and make a move right now. Well, that's Namurla trying to get it as well. And Jack David Spickett, gets it done. Namurla still, though, in 5th place.
That's one of the big action points of the track, that chicane. And Jack David Spickett, I was sort of waiting for him to take his chance. Valenteus holding to the right, Togo Hisada behind. You get a good draft, but JDS also has a draft on Numella and is going to take him around the outside of turn 1. That's always a difficult place to carry momentum. Valenteus going to try and take advantage, but we're into the essence now. No change, but it looked pretty close.
Starting to lose time out here. I'm not saying Namurla is the cork in the champagne bottle, but you just know if they start battling this early, they're going to be losing out and already a second and a half behind the top 4. Not where the likes of Valenteus, Hisada and Spickett want to be. Namurla, though, got to give some credit here. You would say sometimes a little bit out of his league if you look at the iRating. That doesn't matter when you come to vintage cars because sometimes drivers just have that skill regardless of the iRating. So very interesting to see. Hisada going to set himself up for a wide move through the hairpin. Togo, I don't think that was on. I don't think he was trying to go around the outside of Valenteus. Not exactly the driver you want to be going through, but they are hunting. He is hunting. Togo wants another position. He's going to have to try and do this around the outside of the infamous spoon curve. And I'll tell you what, he gets it done for the first part. Just a dip of the tyre for an off-track in the second part. And around the outside goes Togo. That's some hometown experience.
I thought he was going to have problems on that curve on the outside. He put the wheel over. Valenteus isn't done. He has the run onto the inside of 130R. Do you want to do this 1-2 ride? Ross Banfield is behind watching. Both make it through. Quesada still clutching his wheels on the grass. Quite a bit being kicked up on the track. Now through that chicane. Valenteus is going to have it back. It's always brave to fight someone down there.
I'll tell you what, Hisada's got the run here, got the push, and they are losing time now to Jack David Spickett, but these two just want to have some fun. They've had so much fun at the front of the Lotus 49s. Why not resurrect that battle in the 79s on a Sunday afternoon or a Monday morning? With Togo, it's about 2 a.m. in Japan. You've got to give some hats off here, so really having to work here. Still side by side, they start the snake. Togo has to yield, and I think Togo may realize I am a little bit faster than you here, or Aldrius. And I think we may just want to catch back up to Jack, because Jack, there's that gap. That is now 1.3. Still a little bit in the slipstream, but he's only just going to be getting dustings of that clean air.
You do definitely like to have a few laps of your own in a race that usually ends in fireworks around here. Looking a bit further back at Dylan Freckleton, you do love the purple. You know, I don't know if there's any Grand Prix car in history that's been in purple. Just trying to make a bit of a dive up to Chavez. I thought maybe that was going to happen. He had a horrible exit. That's 17. He's lost 2 places, just being held up on the outside and no speed on the exit there.
Yeah, Pina, I think, also just missed a gear and going to be losing another position here to Javier Sanchez, who in his car almost, it's actually a Nissan GTP inspired livery. That's 2 of you out there today. That really confuses me. Usually it's Mickey Friesen, but Javier driving around and trying to catch up on Turret Kundera. There he is. That's the car I was on about. There's Mickey Friesen in the background on Turret Kundera. That's not a place to move, and that's not a place to go. He almost goes into the wall there. Alice Schumacher Barrichello, and almost just have to yield. We're trying around the outside here in Hamaki. Gets it done. Mickey sees it as well, but doesn't have the late braking to get it done. Almost rubbing wheels, and they may be away from the lead battle, but they're still trying to battle for pride out here. And it looked very close. It was almost a big wreck there coming to 130R.
I can see why Kundelas went for it, because Muller did a heavy squeeze to the left over the course of that straight, and he sort of thought there was space until it wasn't. And then at that high speed, it's very hard to back out on a mistake. I'm very happy he kept it all in one piece on the track, though. I'll put it like that. That'll happen everywhere. We're going to take another look back up at the leaders of the race, though. Having a bit more of a peaceful day. Andy T in second, 6/10 behind Andrews Henkel. It's close enough. As long as he can see the car ahead, he could mount this a little bit later, get some better laps over time. But right now, they're lapping almost on exactly on par with each other.
Yeah, like almost on par. They are on par. You see Toby Coultonelli with the purple tick next to his name. He's got the fastest lap. That's worth 2 points. Henkel already got 2 bonus points for pole position. Topi Kortenemi's last lap was a 45.354, a 1 in front, of course. It was a 3.58, as you can see, for Andy T. As you see Raul Roche's Guardia trying to have a little bit of a move around the hairpin in the picture. He's got Andrew Petty right behind him, and Kronman Yaksky is there. Moreira has been the first incident of the day, taken a tow. He's trying to catch up to Henkel, and, well, I gotta say, as we go back to Togo, Andy wanted this. He wanted competition. He's brought some of the old guard back into the series as Togo's looking to try and make this into the inside of 130R. Valenteus is going to tell him, hang on, this is how you do it at the Casio Triangle. Togo's still going to fight it, can't make it anymore, loses out. These two, they're just having fun out there.
Togo's the kind to not give up on a pass. The moment we look at him, it's like he knows we got the camera on and he's got to try and make the move. Takes a look to the inside, doesn't get it working, so on to the out, which is going to be hard to get that pass on. Ross Banfield's in play at this. Oh, that's a little tap to Valenteus from the rear. Gets away with it, but that was almost very scary.
Almost, and I think they realized the situation. Togo just had a little bit more speed through the first corner. That is the name of the corner, by the way, if you don't know. And just tried to do the over-under. Did not work. This is the closest battle on track, as you can see on the timing tower. That is gapped to each car. And Kortenemi's lost Andy T. Jacob Reed lost that top 3 pretty early, about 2 laps ago. So top 7 are all just top 6, sorry, all just bubble racing at the moment, waiting for a mistake. Ross Banfield's just watching 2 legends, and they are legends, even though Valenteus, as I mentioned, first full season in the Lotus 79, so much expertise in the 49s, in the IMSA Vintage Series, and you'd think that he would want to dominate this. No, he doesn't care. He just wants to race, and he just wants to race hard. So do these guys. Raul Roche's Guardia trying to make the move, but Yaksky is going to get it done, and Raul Roches has to run wide.
I think he might have a run on the exit of no. He had it for a second, but it wasn't quite there. Andrew Petty's also in tow. You do actually get a nice run behind another car, though. The aerodynamics of this car give you a good slipstream. Raul Roches, he's going to take a look, and that is exactly what sometimes happens to the car on the outside of 130R. Sebastian Konvojatski, he is well and truly out of it with that one.
I know there was a little bit of network issue there. I did see that, but however, they were running it close, and I think even if there wasn't that little bit of networking issue, I think they still would have come together. But does that mean there's damage on Guardia's car? Petty's really starting to hunt for this now. He'd love to try and make his way up. In fact, he's actually still got a chance, albeit 2 seconds behind, to really try and get a top 10 here. Would be really good for the man who's really a Lotus he's a Super Formula driver more than this, so he would be expertise in this track already. The Englishman would, or the British man, sorry, we'll get it right. There's 2 minutes. Let's have a look at the replay though while it's going. It's the first incident of the race, and they are pushing tight together. The inside was left open, and it just feels that not in the right place. Just an unfortunate moment. They weren't taking all the corner up there, and something had to give, and they were both trying to take a really narrow line into 130R.
Does feel to me like that car on the outside just did not want to give space, and you can try that, but there's a calculated risk at play, and if you really, really want it on the inside, you're the one that's going out the turn and not the car inside, and I think that was just a game of chicken that got played up to its natural limit.
Well, Mickey Friesen doesn't want to play chicken today. He wants to have a nice, clean drive. And it's just very interesting to see what he could do. Maybe he's just getting himself ready. It's Super Bowl Sunday, and I wonder if he's going to be looking to try and see if he has a super performance out here today. And hopefully no owls are around for him. But Yamaki holding both of them up. Well, I say both of them up. But Tourist Kundalis, you can tell it's Kundalis. He loves that green. Almost like a lime green. Oh, Mickey just goes on. A little bit of a fun fact here, Howard. We know Mickey Friesen's the GTO driver in IMSA Vintage. He drives this livery because there is no Audi GTO livery. That's very cursed. If you have a problem like this in the world, I would say make it yourself or get it happening yourself. I mean, I do like the Nissan design. It's very evocative of the era. But at the same time, like,
I've commissioned some silly liveries on retro cars, some stuff that just seems out of place, and I'd love to see an Audi GTO on there. Audi are entering F1. I don't think their current livery looks as good as that classic GTO, to be honest, so let's make it real.
I'm going to slap you on the hand for making some cursed things. We've got some drivers with some retro liveries and drivers with their own liveries, as Ringwood as well with his own little throwback here, trying to get on by Javier Sanchez, who's also in that Nissan-inspired livery. And you've also got some people using John Player specials. And shout out to Pauli Parton. He's not here. He's had a couple of seasons off. Got the Pauli Parton special as well. Just a little bit of his own spin on it. Is Pina trying to hold here, trying to see if he can make a move on Gabriel Martinez, and going to go side by side with Martinez into Spoon. Gets it done. Such a tough corner. If you run too wide, you start to Tony Hawk grind that corner. Could not get it done. Gabriel loses the position. Right behind him is Javier Sanchez. Ringwood is well trying to catch up. And I don't think Martinez has got the run here to really try and force a moment. Numella's going to try and force a moment here for Jacob Reed. Could not get it done. Jacob is in a little bit of limbo here. He'd like to be fighting forward as Javier has to go around, but could not get it on Martinez. Give a shout out to Daniel. A lot going on in this car, in this field.
I'm just saying, if you really want to slap me, I run the blue and pink Alpine on my 79 right now to scare people. Here's Javier Sanchez to the inside. Gabriel Martinez going to have to hold it out wide. It's a very common overtaking spot. You often have to concede that on the outside. But I think Gabriel's going to be trading back with Xavier several more times over the course of the next few turns and laps. So you feel like they're just enjoying the hunt.
Well, I don't think Javier wants to be the hunted. I think he prefers being the hunter, but I think he's got no choice right now as he is trying to catch back up to Javier Pina. One Javier to another, of course, as Ringwood starting to lose out a little bit in this almost South African style, Jamaican style, sorry, South Africa, a little bit of a darker green, not with the yellow, it's more of a Jamaican style flag. Right behind them, Andrew Petty, they're still trying to catch up. Guardia probably doesn't have any major damage. If he had major damage, he'd be falling backwards right now after that little moment. So could be one to look out for. Valentea is always one to look out for through Spoon on Jack David Spickett. What's he going to do? Jack David Spickett has a lot of expertise in this car. Valentea knows the man, knows the driver. He's going to need a run, but Jack's going to defend the inside.
Runs do happen here, though, very, very easily outside a brave place to send it. Oh, I worried a little bit about David Spickett washing out wide, but the outbreak into that final chicane, there was bravery from Valentea, just about enough to get that one done. Togo's in the wings, of course, waiting to make this battle his own. These are three names we see all over the channel all the time, often associated with some close racing. That's another tap on the rear of Valentea's Jack David Spickett. I presume that's an accident. That's not usually how you want to get past someone in this car, and they're still wheel banging out of the turn. Almost a bit of a returning of the favour, and Hisada's going to take advantage of both squabbling here.
Togo Sugoi around the outside of the start of the snake there on a slow Valenteas, and it was interesting. Jack made the small tap mistake there on Valenteas entering the first corner, and as Jack had a little bit of a slide through the first corner, Valenteas with another accidental tap. So it's 1-1. None of them tried to do it on purpose, but he could not get the speed down. Togo was there to pick it up with a lovely move, and that first part of the snake had a little bit of cambering, but Jack is now starting to lose out a little bit. Right behind now will be Ross Banfield. He's in this battle, and Ross is the number 8 car. Ross has the expertise, but when he sees the drivers in front, if he knows the history of the series, if he knows the history of classic drivers here on the Global SimRacing Channel, he knows that he could just sit back and watch the greatest show on tarmac.
Imagine getting a front row seat this spectacular. The battle for P4 heating up, by the way. Jacob Reed and Marco Numela, opposite ends of the scale, the 2 and the 19, but Marco's been very fast, kicked a few wheels on the grass, trying to make the pass there in 130 yard. That's going to kill enough momentum to make sure that can't quite happen that time, but as long as you keep the pressure on, you can see those slides out from Reed up in front. Anything can happen. There's a lot of gravel kicked up on the inside of that last turn. Now he's close enough to get a good run. Jacob Reed's going to go exactly where it's natural, to the inside. But but there's a really good run here from Marco on the outside. It's not going to matter. They're going to keep going. They are going to keep going. Every time I think someone's out of this, they're back into it. They're still side by side into the Essence.
And still side by side, they'll go for the second part of the Essence. And Jacob just started to lose a little bit of that momentum. And that allowed Marco to hold on to it. They come to the anti-banked curve. And there's not a lot that Jacob can do. And you can keep this battle going. But 2.5 seconds behind you is Togo, Valenteus, Pickett, and Banfield. You don't want to really get them in. There they are, just in the back of the corner there, coming through Dunlop as the drivers hit into Degner 2. So Jacob's going to have to do this all over again. Let's go to a replay here of 3 wide, 4 wide almost. Yes, almost 4 wide here as they keep on going. Gabri gets on by as they're all just trying to find their way through here. I can say that the order at the moment is Ringwood, Guardia, Sanchez, Martinez just at the back down there as well. With everyone just getting caught up. In fact, here they are right now. We go from picture-in-picture to the big picture.
Make it just about halfway we are as well. 20, that flies by like you'd never possibly believe. Andrew Petty, part of this big battle. It's hard to work out which one we'd rather look at on the track, but this 4-car train is pretty exciting, and they've proven now that they can send it about as wide as they possibly want on the track. Gabri leading over the rest. I think a lot of them might be a little bit too far for a slipstream, other than Hans Sommer, who has a bit of an advantage, but not enough to convert it. Here we are further back to 26th as Gernot Fritz just trying to make up everything from his drive-through. He is making places, he is making passes, so credit to him. The picture-in-picture though up in the corner, it's chaos over there.
Oh, absolute chaos as well in the battle we were just looking at, because Sommer went into the back of Martinez and they both just lost out here. Let's go 3 wide, down the straight and around the outside for Raul Rocha's Guardia as he gets on by Javier Sanchez at JPW Ringwood. Everybody, that was a game of chicken, and Guardia said, I am not the chicken. Makes that move, and Ringwood just had to applaud. I think he was the first man to actually back out of that. He was the meat in the middle, and he was indeed. He backed out of that. Then it was Javier. Then Guardia just took the normal line and said, thank you very much. I'll take that move. Now he wants to try and pull away. 4 seconds ahead is this battle almost. Banfield still trying to make some moves, trying to get past that David Spickett, catch up to him. Jack started to lose to Valenteus and Hazada.
Well, now make it 2 as the 2 ahead. They're not really much of a battle, a second back from each other. JDS, he had that slip up that we caught on the camera just a little bit earlier, and since then he's been stuck in the clutches of Ross Banfield, who's certainly close enough to try something bold down this straight. In the picture-in-picture is some more carnage from the back of the field as Mickey Friesen in 22nd goes side by side. Almost feels like something I've seen before in real life. Ross Banfield not able to make the pass on live pictures, doesn't quite go for it.
Don't try to go for it, but Jack with a slide. Jumping Jack keeps that car under control, loses the position, but that could have been very messy as Ross will take on going, and I wonder if this is a little bit of damage from Jack. I'm looking around the car. I don't see a lot of information out there. Don't see much happening to him. I do see, as we see him go down the timing tower, Gabriel Martinez, I think he's almost had a similar moment. In fact, he was battling Hans Sommer there and just got a bit too close to Sommer and got away. Arto Himomaki still looking for battles and get past Hans Sommer. 31 cars. We've only had 1 retirement out there. This is a really stacked field. And again, give a shout out to Christian, not Daniel, Christian, for this director work today.
I mean, the directors are so good. I mean, you could take either one and you know you'll get a good day. I think I've heard there's a replay coming, unless I misheard that one in my ear, just trying to glaze. There we go. It is the pass with Gabriel Martinez. It's very similar to what we saw earlier on. I seem to recognise something about cars from this era bumping into each other on the chicane. We can say that these are accidents and not actual deliberate championship killers, but, you know, those wheels do like to get a little bit close together.
Just a little bit close together, and as I said, we've got 30 cars still driving out there, even though Moreira is a lap down. Matthew Cockerham still trying to find places, and this is now for pride as well as just having the thrill on the seat in your sim rig. Bosca's right behind with Benjamin David in the middle, and then you've got Matthew Cockham trying to hold things off. Not getting a lot done. Toga Hisada trying to get some stuff done. Where is Valenteus gone? What has happened to Valenteus? A lot of time lost out there. Losing a lot of time as Togo now really starting to push on. The fuel at this stage of the race is starting to drain. And now Togo is in the clutches, trying to grab Jacob Reed. And I feel now, Howie, this is the game of who has saved the tyres, which sounds crazy when the track temp is only 22 Celsius.
I mean, little percentages are going to matter in a race on a track that demands so much of them. Also, I saw in some of the pre-race chatter that some drivers are going to run a fuel level that's just a little bit marginal, and they might have to try and nurse that over the line just for the smallest of advantages with that lighter car near the start of the race. So I wouldn't expect it to be a massive factor. It could explain pace differences. Togo Hisada giving some Tokyo Drifter that car out the turn, just about keeps it in one go, and now wants to make a bold move up into that hairpin. He's actually going to get away with it and have the run on exit.
Well, I don't know if he'll get the run, though, because the inside of 200R does work for the inside driver, which is the man in green, and it's Jacob Reed. But he'll have to try and go around the outside of Spoon, and he can't do that. Not on the caliber of Togo Hisada, and he'll just have to yield. And this is a great run from Hisada. Not the hardest charger today. That belongs to Arturas Kundala, who's up 7. But Reed's going to try and do this, and how many times have we seen a top driver try to do this around the outside of 130R? There is a little bit of overlap, but he doesn't need it, and he gets that cleanly. In fact, he was almost clear when they came to turning in for 130R. Togo's going to have to respond again. And Henkel's gone fastest, and I've been looking at stats, and they're not complete stats, but the last time we saw Andreas Henkel on the top step was almost a year ago. As they go side by side, it was February 16th. With Henkel last year, he got a victory round the outside for Togo Hisada through the first corner. That is how you do it.
We can't work out what to watch first on this track. There's so much going on in the final sector, and the amount of bravery on display all race today, it comes from people that know the track incredibly well. That is usually how you get people willing to make such moves, and when they have such faith and trust in each other. Live from 25th and 26th, it's Ruiz and Cockerham as well, trying the same battle as a 4-car train there with Benjamin David and John Francois Focus as well in line. There's something happening everywhere, no matter where you look. But eyes are going to be on what Reed and Hisada are going to try on each other again.
I can feel it calling in the air tonight that something is going to happen right now, because Togo is now starting to pull ahead. I'm not saying he's got a P4 on the card, but 3 seconds behind Numela could do it. Another driver having an incident on my timing tower, Ricardo Ruiz. You'll just start to see that number go a little bit higher there now in 29th as Togo starts to pull ahead of Reed, and Reed is now getting caught by Valenteus. That's how much those two are battling. That the gold standard, as we say here, well, as Jake says, is just going to catch up. Ricardo Ruiz comes through Degner. Oh, he takes too much of that inside curve. And even in the slow-mo, you can see that car is upset. And he may have that classic McLaren livery. That wasn't the corner the McLarens crashed when they came here to Suzuka.
More brave moves into the Casio triangle as Ringwood tries to chase down Xavier Sanchez. They're going to be fast enough to challenge into turn 1. And dare I say, people have actually made it happen on the outside over the course of this race. Will Ringwood be as brave? Wheels almost touch several times. They drift to each other around the outside. A classic as ever, as he's able to just about clear out on front. He's going to force that Sanchez there to back out and slow down a bit. He'll have another shot later on in this track.
Well, it's not the JPS special, it's the JPW special, with a great move there on Javier Sanchez and Javier hiking 360 on stream. Probably just looking at that right now and just applauding, knowing that it was better to just let the move go instead of fight it, because they're losing time to Guardia. They really want to see if they've got a chance at a top 10, a late charge, but they're 5 seconds behind. They're about 10 seconds behind this battle almost, as Valenteus in 7th place. still trying to catch up to Jacob Reed. But again, we talk about how stacked this field is, with Gabriel Martinez with another moment out there. Sorry, Shadi and Mad with another moment out there. The top 10, they're all basically single digit in iRating, apart from 3 drivers. Here's Shadi and Mad going into Degner, and again, I can see too much of the curb. The rear starts to go, gets it slammed there and slid around the Repsol car. Another classic livery there, really trying to keep out of the way as Henkel once again goes purple. These two, nothing to separate them.
One of the things about these ground effect cars and their quite stiff suspension around here is they do get upset on the curbs, and there's nothing more frustrating than nailing down 16 laps and then hitting the curb one too many, and oh, it's all over for me. At the end of it all, I mean, the best drivers sort of know exactly what to take, but anyone's vulnerable to just one little step, one little inch too over the line one time, and then one mistake, it just kills a race. In a sprint race like this, it's very, very hard to make back that time. Here's Jack David Spickett and Javier Chavez Pene, who have been having plenty of back and forth with each other. And here's our leader, Henkel, who we've not seen much of. This is one of those cases where you don't get to talk much about the race leader. It's a whole lot quieter on his screen, but he's been the fastest by a long shot. No one's catching this.
Interesting, the week after my birthday, he wins last year, and then the day before my birthday this year, he gets another win. So if Henkel wants a little bit of a good luck charm, just get me in next February for a race, and we'll just see what happens. But knock on wood, a really good run here today by the German. I'm not going to Murray Walker it like he did it to Damon Hill in Monaco in 95, but still just keeping quiet. And with how stacked this field is, he's not even in threat of lapped traffic, which is really crazy, because especially with Valenteas looking like he wants a little bit of a go out there as well, trying to hold a tight line into Jacob Reed, keeps it bunched up there. And I wonder, I know he says he hails from Ukraine, but he is he's not from Ukraine. I've lost the name in the head of my head at the moment, but he's trying to go and look for a set up and move here on Jacob Reed. He'll have to do it around the outside of the Casio Triangle, but he knows Jacob way too much. They're going to resurrect the Saturday afternoon battle here on a Sunday afternoon.
Nothing like a Sunday afternoon for some of the best racing on all of iRacing. F1 isn't on, so why don't we just get something just a little bit better? Andreas Valenteas has a bit of a speed advantage, but that outside's been blocked by Jacob Reed this time. I think we're starting to learn just how brave some can be on the outside if they get those runs, how much momentum you can carry on that line. So it's unusual to block that one off, but yeah, I've been starting to see it a bit. Valenteas, I think, if he stays in this range, we're going to see another 130R heroic between the two. 2 tenths is really where you need to be at the end of Spoon in order to have the charge to make this happen. It's happened plenty of times.
Lots of dirty air as they come through Dunlop now. You can see the cars just twitching a little bit as they work its way through, and Valenteas a little bit slow, a little bit of a run there from Jacob, taking too much of the curve on the exit of Degner 1, holds it, and I wonder if Valenteas is going to use it, but the little run up to the hairpin is not really a run you can use in single class series. In multi-class you can do it, but it is still a little bit risky, so just going to just keep it calm. And now if he wants to make a move at Spoon, he can, but knowing Valenteas, he knows the game of chess. Let's just wait. He sees Jacob go for a little bit of defense there, but Valenteas decides, not my time, and now he gets on the throttle a little bit later on the throttle, a little bit smoother line as Jacob attacked the exit there of Spoon. This is going to set up the gold standard to look for a move, and for the third time this race, he's going to try and do this around the outside of 130R. This time around Jacob Reed, not doing much to separate them. They're still side by side, heading down into the Casio Triangle, and I don't think there's a lot for Jacob to do here. Best of the late breakers belongs to Valenteas. Small slide. We're going to do it again, Howie.
Jacob's not done. He's close enough to get a good exit and close enough to get a good run. And how many times are we going to see the outside into the first corner work? It's no guarantee. Both drivers have all the bravery in the world, but lots of momentum out there. Jacob Reed able to not quite clear, slips a little bit. They're still side by side into the S's. Something's got to give. I think it will be Valenteas at the end of it, but only just.
Well, Jacob Reed's thinking, I've seen better days than this one, but something's got to give, and unfortunately, it's Valenteus. And now they brought Ross Banfield back. Remember Ross? There he is. Give a wave, Ross. Hello. You're right back in this battle still. He's up 3 places today, so is Valenteus. The top 4 have not moved at all. The needle hasn't moved at the front, but the needle has been bouncing front and back in the rest of the field. And now Jacob will feel the pressure, because I feel like the tyres are a little bit cooler and a little bit less worn for Valenteus, probably just using that smoothness that he's got. I'm not saying Jacob isn't smooth, but when pressure comes to you, the pressure cooker will whistle. And I feel that might have happened to Jacob, as now he's having to look behind instead of looking forward. And I tell you that though, Ross Banfield just a little bit too wide there, so may help. But there's a slide from Jacob, and that's the indicator you need to see. That looks to me like it's cooked tires on Jacob. And get the eggs out. I think you could cook it.
Just you push throughout the race. They're gonna be on fire by the end, and you're not gonna hold on to that grip you're looking for. Car also getting lighter and lighter as we approach the end of the stints as well. It's gonna add some more looseness to them. Can adjust the anti-roll bars while you drive in order to adjust the balance, and some will do that in order to tighten up the car near the end of the race. Here's Andrew Penny. A lot more of the same, has to back out against Ringwood. And Xavier Sanchez still on the chase with this 3-car train. I wonder who's going to get the run on who here, because Sanchez is closer, but Penny's going to gain enough distance on Ringwood. But actually, Ringwood's going faster. Actually, Ringwood's going to give this a shot. Xavier almost wants to make it free, has to get covered off, and he's overcooked it. Set it a little bit too far in his bravery. Goes off the track, just about recovers. But meanwhile, Penny, he's able to make that move clean.
Penny now up 6, hardest charger on the day, and I think it was the fact that JPW went for it when it looked like he was giving it up, just spooked out Javier there, and he just had to back out a little bit. Dylan Freckleton now into the top 10, getting past Pina in front of them as well, as he continues on to his battle. Not seeing a lot going on, but here's that replay there with Dylan, and actually this is through Dunlop. That's a really rare move around Dunlop to make an overtake, and then gets it slowed down into Degner. Real heads up there from Dylan Freckleton.
Time's running out. People in every place on the track they can possibly earn around here, and there's still battles every single place you look, such as with Ringwood again. One more shot down the straight. Knock into the... I'm looking at two different things on two different reasons. Ross Banfield. That would explain that one. Didn't quite get the run down 130 yards, though. The Casio triangle's not quite going to work, but whenever the Casio triangle doesn't work, you know what happens next. Here's Xavier Chavez-Pena. It's trying to do much of the same onto Dylan Freckleton up ahead. Bit of a slide from Freckleton, but I think he's faster on exit.
Well, he's got one more lap to do something, and I think Freckleton is having to be a little bit defensive here. You look at the battles going on, and battles are definitely going on. In fact, his starter somehow caught up to Nomella on the last lap, as Pina's trying to do it around the outside of Freckleton, and another car with a move around the outside, and they were sliding and touching, and I wondered how nobody crashed out there. Javier Chavez Pina with the overtake there on Dylan Freckleton to get it done on the final lap. Very interesting. Other battles going as well. Henkel here is up ahead. There's Hazada still trying to catch up to Nomella in a late run. Banfield's trying to catch up to Jacob Reed. But this is the man you got to look for. He's just a few more corners away. One last time through the legendary 130R for Andreas Henkel. A little bit of a slide there, Andreas. I saw that for a moment. February 16th, 2025 was the last time we saw this driver on the top step in the Lotus 79. He's been out for a while, and Andy T's been pulling them back in. He wants to resurrect the first golden era, and he's done it. Andreas Henkel is back. Everybody needs to be afraid. He takes victory at Suzuka today in dominant fashion.
On those drivers you didn't really see much of on the show. Much same for Andy T and Topi Kortemimi. Not really seen them much this race, that top three, but they have raced absolutely excellent runs today, and Jacob Reed is one that's going to maybe rue the last lap of this race. Side-by-side contact with Banfield's going to lose in one place, maybe two, maybe three. He's still slipping and sliding. That's a frustrating end to your day there.
just got a bit too hot battling Banfield and wanted to get onto the throttle as hard as he could, and he's fallen down the order to 11th. Not a day in the office for him. That one mistake. A little bit of a race there at the line. What was that? That was Javier Sanchez just getting past JPW Ringwood there. Very close finish there. Managed to beat him by a 10th. More drivers coming across the line as well. Payner did hold off that charge on Freckleton. Hisada could have used another lap to get P4. That was another close one as drivers start to flow on by. We had 31 drivers, 29 were on the lead lap, and 30 finished. And Togo just saying in chat he needed one more lap. Top five's not too bad, but if you're Andreas Henkel, victory is better. P2 will be Andy T. We saw nothing of Andy today. This is how dominant the top three were. As Topi was in P3, we didn't even see Topi. Marco Namella didn't even see him till the end. Toga Hisada goes up 2 places to 5th. Valente is up 3 to 6th. It's up 4 to 7th for Ross Banfield. Jack Davis Pickett with 8, with Javier Chavez Pina in 9th. Dylan Freckleton just gets in the top 10 after that mistake.
Jacob Reed with a slip down to 11th out of the top 10. He's going to be frustrated over that one. He finishes ahead of Raul Roches Gardia, Andrew Petty, Xavier Sanchez, JPW Ringwood, Arteas Kundales, Hans Sommer, Arto Ishmaki, and Mickey Friesen with Julius Muller in 20th.
And then we'll get to the last drivers, because in 21st will be Logan Edwards. And Gunnar Friescher did not get the drive up the field after the false start he wanted. He will finish in 22nd. Gabriel Martinez with a little incident at the end will be 23rd. Shadi Mad will be 24th. Benjamin David will be 25th, with Matthew Cockerham in 26th. John Francis Bosco started from the back of the field, goes to 27th. Ricardo Ruiz in 28th. Peter Yerka will be 29th, last man on the lead lap. Miera took some repairs in 30th, and we saw that incident with Sebastian Kron-Woniatski will finish in a retirement in 31st. Just one retiree, and we're just looking to see who's outside the broadcasting booth. And I think it's Andy T just looking to have a little bit of a knock on, and he is. And Andy, I've got to say, we didn't really see a lot out there today, because it almost looked like Andreas just had the pace on everyone out there.
Yeah, like, huge shout out to him. He is unreal anyway, and I think this place is like his Nirvana or something. Like, he must have a bazillion laps here. He's untouchable on race pace. That quali lap was, I don't think I had anything else. It was a full send, and it still wasn't close enough. So full credit to him. Well,
let's address this, because Andreas is back, and I know. Let's talk about, you've been wanting some of the people to come back in, get out the closet on a weekend. Is this something of you're doing? You've unleashed Andreas onto us, or is this nothing to do with you? Because it feels like you've come back, Andreas has come back. Who else wants to come back?
I mean, the man's got his own free will, right? Like, I think he does what he does. I don't think I have influence over anyone, so. Yeah, I mean, it was really nice because he's not afraid to race. So we had some good, well, I say races, he just runs away because he's unreal here. But he's not afraid to just come out and battle. So it's really nice.
Well, you say you don't have races, you just drive around. And again, unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of time to see you after the start, because you three at the front were just gone away. But we go to something a little bit smaller next week, which is Zandvoort, and that, I think, is going to be a little bit more up your alley. I don't think it's going to be the high speeds of Suzuka, a little bit tight and technical. Are you looking forward to it? Because last time I checked, we haven't seen you in this car around the new look Zandvoort before.
No, you haven't. And yeah, I'm excited to go there. If I can get a second place, that's championship number 3 confirmed. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
On that, you'd be another driver in the three-peat. What would that mean? We'd have to have another seat in that room for the three-time champions. How much are you really willing and wanting that title?
Yeah, of course. Like, if you compete in something and you don't want to win, then why are you competing? So yeah, of course I'm hungry for it. I've got 4 races to get 1 second place, and that's presuming that Togo or Topi individually win every single remaining race. So I'm just going to get that second place in the bank and walk away with the trophy into the sunset, I think.
Walk away into the sunset. Well, you can't walk away into the sunset because the nights are drawing out. You have to wait a little bit for that. But regardless, we will look forward to see what happened next time for you, Andy T. Congratulations on another podium for the season. And hopefully we look forward to seeing you back on it next week at Zandvoort.
Thanks, guys.
Andy T there. who has the victory. Well, he had the victory, he had the P2, and he mentioned Togo Hisada, who needs to get some points now to try and stop him winning the title. He is alongside Howie Burrows.
Well, Togo, racing at 2 a.m. doesn't seem to take the fire out of you. You know this track really well, of course, I'd assume so, and you certainly race like it.
Yeah, it always, Suzuka race is quite challenging, especially qualifying and battle, and yeah, I enjoy a lot today.
So some of your passes, you seem to go around the inside, round the outside, every place that we could possibly imagine. What are your favorite passing spots and moments around here? What about this track really comes alive for you?
Yeah, my favorite place is hairpin inside and the spoon. This track is such a nice flow. That's my favorite. And yeah, it's kind of two types of setups available. First is fast under the straight, fast under the last half of the circuit. And one more is high downforce, and aiming to the first half of the circuit. So there's a two very different downforce type available, and the people race with whichever, but that provides quite interesting battle always. That's a Suzuka best. Yeah.
You're back for any more of this championship. We're at the newer Zandvoort next week, and I love that track in these cars, even if it feels a bit out of place. That banking is very, very special.
Yeah, the 79 is quite a nice combo, of course. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it because this season's schedule is perfect for the 79, and yeah, I'm having quite busy with real life moments, real life things, so I'm not sure I can fully focus to the towards the very last round, but yeah, if I have the time and I'll prepare I will enjoy the race, and I will really looking forward to it.
Well, another thrilling day on the track. You might want to... Do people tell you to get some rest after these races frequently? I might have to do it to you again myself. It's like a cliche in itself, but always good to see you with the tightest battles on the track.
Yeah, thank you so much.
From Howie to Togo there to end up the day. A good P5 on his home track, and that's going to do it all for us today. So a shout out to the Lotus 79 community once again for bringing us back for another season. And of course, thanks to Howie, to Christian. I know I said Daniel earlier, but slip of the tongue. And Dougie as well for the cameras. Next time out, we've talked about it. It's Circuit Zandvoort, the newer one. That's going to be a really fun race. Well, every race of the season is really fun, especially when you see what we've got coming up. But what we've got coming up for the rest of the week, though, is just as interesting because we've got the Porsche's Owner Club at the legendary Road Atlanta coming up tomorrow or Thursday or Tuesday morning, wherever you live. And then Thursday, the Skip Barbers go here on the short layout. And then the 49s head to Donington with the best layout. And then we do it all again with the IMSA Winter Series at Hungaro Ring. With Togo Hisada actually had a moment there last time we came. So a little bit of a full circle, but a full circle will happen with Andreas Henkel. First victory in a year. And all Andy T needs is a second place for the championship. His first championship in 3 years. That could be very interesting. But until next time, race clean and race hard. We will see you on the track.
This is iRacing.